True. Man, that was some good debunking today.
That was some good debunking, right? So there is hope, and for you or somebody you know. Hey, it's Lance McGowan and
Tanner Freegard.
And today we're going to be talking about some common myths and facts about Alzheimer's. And this is really important because more and more people are getting this, especially after the age of 60, typically around 65. And there's a lot of, myths and facts again associated with this. And the question isn't if, but how many of the people you know that will eventually be affected by Alzheimer's or dementia.
So discussing Alzheimer's with our clients isn't always comfortable, but they depend on our professional guidance to make important diet and lifestyle choices that reduce their risk or improve their quality of life.
That's right. And to build on that further, there's some common myths. And, what's one of the first ones that you may hear?
So the first one is Alzheimer's disease is genetic.
Well, in actuality, familiar Alzheimer's disease accounts for less than 5% of all Alzheimer's diagnosis. And so that means, 95% is not actually genetic.
So that myth is now debunked.
That's right. And that's, I've watched a number of documentaries on YouTube as well as Netflix, and they basically, whether it's cancer or a lot of other diseases that we go through, typically the range is like 1 to 10% is genetic. So when people automatically opt for genetic without understanding the exact, they got their whole DNA mapped, or a lot of times we just blame genetics because we don't want to blame ourselves.
Sure.
And that's just honest. And I'm not saying that genetics isn't the case, but I'm saying I think we give it more of the cases than it actually is. Like we're saying it's my case when in reality that may not be the case, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So the second myth is excessive contact with aluminum cans can cause Alzheimer's disease.
Well, there's actually no conclusive evidence that contact with aluminum can cause Alzheimer's, but what we do know is that, aluminum is not good for the brain, and we do know that it has to do with a lot of plaque and tangles in the actual brain with regards to how Alzheimer's and dementia are caused. And so basically it's a lot of buildup of these type of proteins in our brain, and there's a TED Talk on it, there's a Netflix documentary on this, and so I highly recommend those, and we'll have some more information in the description above, below on that one, but that's going to be important to take a look into as well.
Absolutely. So Alzheimer's disease is preventable.
That's a myth according to this.
Yes.
And as of now, no single treatment has proven successful. However, exercising your body and mind, sticking to a heart-healthy diet, and staying socially active may all reduce risk. And I would totally, advocate for reducing risk, because that's the best thing we can do. So if we know on the front end that, 5% is genetic, that means about 95% is going to be diet and lifestyle. So that means we do have, we can't say without a shadow of doubt you can prevent it, but we can say you can dramatically reduce your risk to the point where it's only genetic, right? So if, for example, if people are getting Alzheimer's because they're not eating right, they're eating a lot of processed foods, high animal proteins, a lot of fried foods, a lot of unhealthy stuff, and they're exposed to so many toxins from a personal care standpoint. We're not getting out, we're not social, we're always on our phones and not really talking to real people like we're doing now. And we're, I know we're on YouTube right now, but I'm just saying, and you're watching this probably, but I'm just saying, we're not getting social, and we're not getting exercise. We talked about in other videos, sitting is the new smoking, right? We talked about that, and that's important, right? Because we're not getting active. So I can see why our brain is not what it should be.
Here's a little curveball for you.
Okay.
Alzheimer's is a disease only the elderly suffer from.
Well, Alzheimer's is a progressive degenerative disease of the brain. But it most often occurs in people over 65, but can affect people in their 40s and 50s too. So, they always, with anything, there's an average age of when things can happen, and, 65 is kind of that range. But as with anything, there's exceptions to the rule. And so the better we reduce our risk, and the better we, only bring it down to the genetic side through what we eat, through what we take, through our lifestyle and everything else, I think the best, risk mitigation we can get as a result of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last myth that we have is once you're diagnosed with Alzheimer's, your life is over.
Yeah, that's a common myth with a lot of things. When people get a diagnosis, they're like, that's it, no hope, and just reserved to be in a hospital bed for the rest of my life. Well, if you or someone close to you is diagnosed with Alzheimer's, your life is anything but over. And in fact, you can live a fulfilling, active life for many, many years. Eating a heart-healthy diet, exercising regularly, challenging your brain and staying socially connected can help slow the disease progression. And so the main goal at this point would be to slow or maybe even stop or reverse what's going on. I know they said, hey, we haven't shown anything, but what we do know is that if there's a disease that is ravaging the brain, what we want to do is focus on antioxidants. We want to focus on foods that give our body what it needs so it can start to heal itself. And that means more whole foods, less and less or no processed foods, and less animal proteins. And so the China study is actually a really good study. And it states that you should consume 95% or more plant-based as a percentage of your caloric intake to dramatically reduce the risk of heart disease, cancer, and autoimmune diseases. And I would even throw in degenerative diseases like this and not wait till we're 40s and 50s or 60s to see it pop up or crop up, but to really start to take care of our health. Does that mean you have to be a vegan? No. If you do, that's fine, but less on the title and more on your lifestyle and diet. Like, how do we reduce our risk of diseases, and specifically Alzheimer's and dementia, which are degenerative of the brain?
True. Man, that was some good debunking today.
That was some good debunking, right? So there is hope, and for you or somebody you know, and it doesn't have to be a death sentence if you or somebody you know gets Alzheimer's or dementia. Again, that Netflix documentary and TED Talks will be in the description below, so you can check that out, or you can just Google them if you want to get that information as well. And so other than that, hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button if you did, hit subscribe for future video updates, and check out all the links in the description below. There's so much more. We have Financial Stewardship Academy. We have the rest of the Health as Wealth video series for you, so you can really feel empowered about your health and take things to the next level, or really up level your quality of life. Other than that, we'll see you in the next video.